So I was going to start this video off with a skit of me looking really sad and people leaving me voicemails talking about how they know I'm going through a rough time, and the punchline was going to be the fact that I deleted the Let's Talk video of the Breaking Bad movie where I said that it was an awful idea because I said this to Channing. If this movie can prove me wrong, then I will just delete that entire video. But I just don't have time to do that, so here's proof that I deleted it. But let's finally talk about El Camino. Spoilers for Breaking Bad in this video. Not El Camino, but it's kind of impossible to talk about this movie without spoiling the ending of Breaking Bad. So, let's go. El Camino picks up right after Felina, the series finale of Breaking Bad, with Jesse Pinkman driving away in the El Camino, the car that he got from the neo-Nazis after Walter White shot them all dead and then died in a meth lab. The whole film is Jesse trying to escape and get a new identity from the person who did the exact same thing for Walter White in the final season of Breaking Bad. And that's really it. It is a super simple premise, it is a really simple movie, and it was pretty good if you are the right type of audience. One thing that really interested me when I was watching interviews with Aaron Paul and Vince Gilligan in promotion for this film was that they said that this movie can be enjoyed by people who hadn't watched Breaking Bad, and I thought that that was really weird, seeing as how this was a Breaking Bad follow-up film, which means that it's not like a spin-off, it takes place right after the show. So I was wondering how it could be enjoyed by people who don't know Breaking Bad. So this is essentially going to be two reviews for the same movie. It is going to be a review for the fans of Breaking Bad and for people who are not fans or just have not seen Breaking Bad. And so to start that off, let's talk about the plot, which is very simple. As I said, it's just trying to get from point A to point B. Jesse escapes. He wants to get to Alaska. That's it. There are flashback sequences of when Jesse was being held captive by the neo-Nazis, and Todd, who was a fan favorite to hate in the show, is being weirdly nice to him, and he's taking Jesse out and they're like running errands. And those are honestly probably the most entertaining part of the movie if you are not a Breaking Bad fan. But even if you are a Breaking Bad fan, these sequences are really entertaining because Todd is just completely aloof to the fact that Jesse is like broken and scared and horrified, and he just kind of wants to kill Todd, but Todd like just doesn't get it. Like there's one sequence where Todd needs Jesse's help with something, and Jesse is horrified at what it is that Todd needs help with, and Todd's just like, yeah, this sucks. Alright, help me with this real quick. It's pretty funny, like watching Todd just kind of go about his day as if nothing is wrong, even though they're like kind of doing some pretty horrible things. So as far as the plot goes, as a Breaking Bad fan, it is nice to see what happened to Jesse right after Breaking Bad, because he's really the only character that we did not get closure for. He just drives off and we're just supposed to be like, oh, he's fine now, I guess. So to see what it is and how he gets free and how he becomes fine was really nice. As a not Breaking Bad fan, it probably seems very like plain. Like this is not really giving you much. It's just Jesse does a thing so that he can get money, so that he can pay this guy, so that he can get to Alaska. There's not a main antagonist. Like there's one guy that Jesse bumps into a couple of times, but he doesn't really offer much to be called a main antagonist. It's really just Jesse trying to get to Alaska. But then there's the characters and the performances. as a Breaking Bad fan, it is fantastic to see all of these people back, from Badger and Skinny Pete for a little while to the guy who, damn, I forgot his name. Oh, I feel so bad because he passed away not too long ago. But the guy who, like, gives you your new life if you pay him, that runs the vacuum shop. Even though we only saw him for a little bit at the end of the show, it's nice to see him back. And of course, it's fantastic to see Aaron Paul back as Jesse, because I realized that he's been doing like a lot of shows. Like he had that show The Path, I think it was called, on Hulu or Amazon Prime, one of those. But like, I haven't had those for a long time, so I've been lacking some Aaron Paul. So it was really nice to see him in something new that I can actually watch. Because Aaron Paul kills it in this. Like, in the present day sequences when he's trying to get the money from this apartment and he has to deal with these cops, to the banter that he has with the vacuum cleaner store guy. Like, there's a couple of lines in that scene that are really funny. There's also like this Western standoff scene that, I don't know, it was odd, but I liked it. But he still gives, when it calls for it, these really gut-punching performances, specifically in the flashback sequences with Todd, because he's got this huge beard, he just looks disgusting, his clothes are torn, tattered, and dirty, and he's just kind of standing there like this, watching Todd, and then doing whatever it is that Todd asks him to do. Looking at the two characters that Jesse, it's like Jesse's two different characters in this movie. In the present day sequences when he's like hard determined to do what he's got to do, and then in the flashback sequences when he's just like this cowering puppy. So as a Breaking Bad fan, it is great to see all of these characters again, and they give great performances while they are there, because many of them are not there for long. And as a non-Breaking Bad fan, you will enjoy the good performances, but you just will not have the emotional connection with these characters, especially since several of them are not there for long at all. So you don't have time to connect with them if you are not already connected with them. As far as splitting between the fans and non-fans go, that's really all, but I do want to talk about the cinematography, because you can definitely tell that this is Vince Gilligan's vision. It just looks like Breaking Bad, from the way that it's shot to the camera angles that are used. It just looks like Breaking Bad, but with infinitely better cameras and equipment, because the picture quality in this film is jaw-dropping. As soon as the first shot comes up, I was floored, because it just looks beautiful. Now, as far as negatives for the film goes, one that really kind of bugs me, but I'm sure they couldn't help, is continuity with the characters, because this movie is supposed to take place right after that final episode that came out like 6 years ago. So the actors look different. Like, there's a lot of memes about Todd specifically because the actor gained weight. And then that happens. People gain weight, especially in 6 years. Another thing is with Jesse, whenever he's like driving and he's like screaming, like at the end of the show, his beard is like significantly longer and rattier than it is at the end of the show. That one I'm not really sure why they couldn't get right as far as continuity goes, but then again, I might have only recognized it because I started watching the movie right after I finished the last episode, so it just stood out to me like a sore thumb. If I hadn't finished the show right before watching the movie, I might not have noticed it, but it just seems like a really weird thing for them to not get right, especially since it's an obviously fake beard at the beginning of this movie, whereas Aaron Paul actually grew his beard out for the show. But other than that, like, characters just look older. than they should, but you can't really help that unless you just de-age the entire cast with makeup and CGI, which would not only be really expensive, but really time-consuming. So I can't really be too mad at them for that. It's just the continuity with the characters is something that I noticed, so I felt like I needed to talk about.
There's also the fact that the promotional teaser trailers that showed Skinny Pete being interrogated and Jesse sitting in his car in the middle of the desert listening to the news on the radio, neither of these scenes are actually in the movie, so I don't know if they used them for the teasers and then cut them from the film, or if they were shot specifically for the teaser trailers. Either way, it kind of bugs me, mainly because I really wanted to see that scene with Skinny Pete.
Another negative is honestly kind of the fact that, as I said earlier, there's not a main antagonist. It's just through and through Jesse trying to get from point A to point B. And it did make it seem a little kind of boring at times. It was boring at times. I'm not gonna lie. That's really it as far as negatives go, though. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I've been going on long. So I will just say that El Camino does have fantastic performances. The picture quality looks great. It is fantastic to see these characters back, but continuity with the characters and the fact that the story is so baseline and there's not even a main antagonist does make it drag a bit at certain parts. So since I reviewed this movie from two different standpoints, I will be giving it two different grades. As a Breaking Bad fan, I will say that El Camino gets a B-. But if you are not a Breaking Bad fan, I will say that El Camino gets a C-. I really don't understand why Aaron Paul and Vince Gilligan would have said, oh, you'll love this movie even if you're not a Breaking Bad fan, because you really can't. I mean, I'm sure they were just trying to get like people to watch it, but I don't know. It seemed like you guys should have known that this is for Breaking Bad fans and no one else. It honestly kind of bugs me that they would say that. Alright guys, well, have you seen El Camino yet? I'm sure you have, because it's been out for a while. And if you had any interest in watching it and had access to Netflix, I'm sure you've watched it. So, what did you think about it? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to check out my social media. The links to all of that will be down in the description. But before you do that, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe so that I can see you guys next time.